Hey everyone, welcome to MGS Stories. I'm your host, Sunny Rahman, and today's story is one that will not only inspire you, but also teach you something new about taking control of your life. So, stick around and let's get into it. The story of Kevin, the gamer who turned his life around. Kevin was a 25-year-old guy who had always loved playing video games. For as long as he could remember, his nights were filled with gaming marathons, while his days were mostly spent recovering from lack of sleep. He wasn't lazy, he had a job at a call center and earned enough to get by. But that was all it was, a routine. He spent most of his free time either gaming or binge-watching TV shows, and in the back of his mind, he knew he was stuck. Life was passing him by, but he didn't know how to stop it. He had dreams, like everyone does, but they felt far away, almost impossible. Kevin always thought, I'll do something later. I've got time. But deep down, he knew he was just making excuses. One night, something strange happened. Kevin was playing his favorite game online when he noticed a new player in his group. This player was good, really good. Kevin, being competitive, struck up a conversation with him after the game. The player's name was Edward, and it turned out that he was just a few years older than Kevin. But what surprised Kevin the most wasn't Edward's gaming skills, it was his story. Edward wasn't just a gamer. He was also a successful entrepreneur who had started his own online business while still finding time to game as a hobby. Kevin was intrigued. How did Edward manage to balance both gaming and running a business? They kept chatting, and Edward said something that hit Kevin hard. You can keep gaming, man, but think about where you'll be 5 years from now if you keep doing what you're doing. Will you still be happy? That question echoed in Kevin's head long after their conversation ended. For the first time in a long time, he stopped and really thought about his future. He realized that as much as he loved gaming, he wasn't satisfied with the rest of his life. He had dreams, but he was scared to step out of his comfort zone. Over the next few days, Kevin couldn't shake the feeling that he needed to make a change. He began reading articles, watching YouTube videos, and listening to podcasts about personal growth, starting a side hustle, and building discipline. The more he learned, the more he realized something crucial. If I want a different future, I have to make different choices. One night, Kevin decided to reach out to Edward again, asking him for advice on how to get started. Edward's advice was simple but powerful. Start small, but start now. Kevin took those words to heart. He didn't quit gaming, but he cut back. Instead of playing for hours every night, he set aside 1 hour after work to focus on learning a new skill, web design. He had always been fascinated by tech, so it seemed like a good place to start. At first, it was tough. His friends invited him to play, and he'd often get tempted to jump back into his old habits. But Kevin stayed disciplined, reminding himself of where he wanted to be. The first few months were hard. Learning web design was more complicated than Kevin had anticipated. He faced countless setbacks, from crashing websites to design failures. Many nights, he wanted to give up and go back to the comfort of gaming. But every time he thought about quitting, he remembered what Edward had told him. Small steps forward are still steps forward. Kevin realized that the skills he had developed in gaming, problem solving, strategy, focus, could actually help him in his new journey. He just had to apply them in a different way. Little by little, he got better. What started as a hobby after work soon turned into a passion. He began taking on small freelance projects, designing websites for local businesses. His confidence grew with each success, and before long, he was earning enough from freelancing that he didn't need his call center job anymore. Within 2 years, Kevin had completely transformed his life. He went from being a guy who gamed all night and barely scraped by to running his own successful web design business. And here's the crazy part. He still had time to game. The difference was that gaming wasn't his whole life anymore. It was just something he did for fun, while the rest of his time was spent building the life he always wanted. One day, Kevin looked back on his journey and realized something important. The only thing standing between you and the life you want is the excuses you keep making. What we can learn from Kevin's story. Kevin's story isn't just about gaming or web design. It's about how we can all turn our lives around, no matter where we're starting from. Here are 3 important lessons we can take away. 1. Start with what you have. Kevin didn't have a lot of money, connections, or experience when he started learning web design. But he used the resources he had, free tutorials, online communities, and time. You don't need to wait for everything to be perfect before you begin. 2. Discipline is the key to change. It's easy to stick with what's comfortable, but growth only happens when you step outside your comfort zone. Kevin cut back on gaming and forced himself to stay disciplined in learning something new. Over time, that discipline became a habit, and those habits changed his life. Number 3. Your hobbies can be more than just entertainment. Kevin didn't give up gaming, but he found a way to balance it with building his future. Whatever your hobbies are, there's a way to turn them into something productive if you're willing to put in the effort. And that's Kevin's story. I hope you found it as inspiring as I did. Remember, change doesn't happen overnight, but with small, consistent steps, you can transform your life. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to MGS Stories for more inspirational content. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Keep grinding, keep learning, and take control of your future.